lots of factors contributed to his win, but I wonder what surprised you the most about how he pulled this off.
The two most surprising stats I saw today were that women in the suburbs actually went 51-47 for him. And that shocked me because that was supposed to be his Achilles heel with the Roe decision and his very conscious decision to go after low propensity young men voters that they stuck with, or they came back to him. That's shocking. That's a normally a Republican base group, but under Trump, it's the people that fled from the party. The other one was 60+% of Hispanics in Michigan voted for Donald Trump. So none of the Madison Square Garden controversy, none of the idea that he's being too hard on the border or on immigrants seem to have affected those 65% of Michigan voters, and we'll know more as we get more data in. But he put together a very impressive coalition of voters last night.
Aisha, I'm curious what you think the biggest thing Democrats must learn about Trump's win is.
You know, what's interesting is that Democrats had long been the party of the working class, of labor unions, of regular people, of inclusion, of a big tent of all Americans. And somehow, over the last few cycles, what we see is that Democrats have actually morphed into what many, I'm hearing, feel like is the elitist party. If you look at the outcome of this election, you have a higher propensity of college-educated people who went for Kamala Harris. You also have, you know, the big tent umbrella, but that's starting to fracture a little bit because she lost Hispanic men. And so I think if there's any kind of lesson here to be learned is that there is something with Donald Trump and his billionaires being able to talk to the average Joe. And Democrats in their limousine liberalism weren't able to. And that is where a lot of soul searching is happening today, just on the inside of the folks that I've been talking to, is that people are really wondering where they went wrong. And how somehow they've just completely missed the ball with regards to laborers in America.
To that point, Senator Bernie Sanders sent out kind of a scathing tweet for Democrats today, saying it should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them. When you hear that, and even when you hear Kamala Harris's concession speech today, not a lot of mention of the economy. Why did the Harris campaign not talk about the economy more? Because Americans were.
Well, you know, the other piece of this, just to kind of back up for a moment, is that, hold on, Carmela. The other piece to back up for a minute is that the Harris campaign was 100 days long. So much of what we saw with the outcomes of this election are really symptomatic around the Democrats and the autopsy that the Democrats need to do writ large, whether it had been Biden on the ticket or someone else, with regards to that working class that Bernie Sanders tweeted about. And I think that, you know, what we are seeing is it just in the conversation. I've been thinking a lot about this today, the conversation that Trump offers to people with regards to economics and their pocketbook versus what Democrats are offering with regards to economics and their pocketbook. And Democrats talk a lot about what they want to give them. We're going to give you this particular benefit or this particular break or this particular line of. And I do think that there is something in the entrepreneurial spirit of the Hispanic community in particular, but some of the working class folks that are ambitious that Trump pulled that don't necessarily, it doesn't resonate with them to have a conversation about what they can be given from the government, but more so how the government is on their side, allowing them to flourish in a free market context. And I think that there's a real messaging piece here that folks are talking about. Bernie Sanders obviously leading some of that conversation around what are we missing here with the working class. But certainly, you know, that message narrative through line is something for us to grapple with for some time.
So, Kevin, I guess the flip side of getting a big mandate, which is what happened here with Donald Trump, is that it comes with very big expectations. And perhaps not a lot of patience. And so, you know, 90 days, the first few months, what does he need to do to make people say, yeah, that was a good choice? And what happens if they're not satisfied?
Well, most presidents set out 100 days, a first 100 days plan. And the first thing he's doing right now is building a team of who's going to be in his cabinet, who's going to be in his senior staff, who's going to be below that. The transition is vitally important. He had no idea what he was doing in 2016. He admits that. He does now. So, and he's got very smart people around him. He's got J.D. Vance, who's no one would say he's not smart. Who can take on a lot of different roles. He's got Elon Musk. He's got a very good team of people around him that he can lean on. But yeah, in terms of policy, he's got to hit the marks on all the top policies that he ran on: immigration, inflation, crime, and foreign policy. He's got to hit all of those in some way, meaningful way, within the first 100 days. I suspect he will. He'll do it through EOs, executive orders. He'll do it through proposing legislation, working with, I think we're going to have a unified House and Senate. So Speaker Johnson and whoever becomes the majority leader, and they're going to have to have their stuff together, because the American people are watching. They have very limited tolerance for unified government that doesn't get results. That's when you really get results, is those first 2 years. That's when Barack Obama got Obamacare. That's when Donald Trump got his big tax cut. That's when you get results. 2 years, and then it usually falls apart after that, but he's got to get going right away.
All right, Kevin Sheridan, Aisha Mills, thank you for all of the time and insight you gave us throughout this entire adventure. I know we'll be talking again.